Hi guys, so today we're going to continue with the last two parts of theme 6, different kinds of publishing. You've done the ebook publishing, newspaper publishing, corporate as well as magazine publishing. Now we're going to do self-publishing and then after that customized publishing. Now, as you guys know, technology has given us many tools and platforms and ways of doing things, communicating, social media, online tools. So on the one hand, there are great opportunities for publishing content. So if you're in the content industry or the media industries, technology is really your friend, but it can also be a huge threat to the kind of services that you provide currently, because people think, that once they have a tool like a laptop and Wi-Fi access and a smartphone, they can do anything. However, we would like to argue that the services of qualified people who can actually do content management, do publishing, and proper communication are still needed, as people are not always skilled or qualified necessarily to use these tools or to use it to its best advantage. So what is self-publishing? Now, as you guys know, may know already, is that self-publishing is basically when a writer publishes his or her books or book without the help of a traditional publisher. They go online and use the tools and online platforms available to publish their own work. They are then therefore responsible for all the phases in the publishing value chain. So they come up with an idea, they write the story, they edit it, they proofread it, they do the layout themselves, they market it, they design a cover. A lot of these online platforms actually give you the tools to do all of these things. They can give but they can give you a brief spell check. They can even help you choose a cover by listing a few templates that you can choose from. They even do the styling. I know on Draft2Digital as well, they do that. You just upload a Word file, they convert it to EPUB. You don't even need to know the coding for that specifically. And that's all fair and well, but we'll get to the challenges and the opportunities now where we actually discuss the role of a publisher. But just to tell you from an author's side, it may seem that this is the best way to do things and it's the easier way to do things. I just upload my story, it's there for the world to see, and you don't need another party necessarily as part of your process. And I should also say that a lot of these online platforms have actually strengthened, or not strengthened, but they've actually improved. That's the word. They've actually improved their options and the way of doing things and their tools that you can use. So they also do some research and see what are people using, what are they complaining about, what's easy, what is difficult, and they adapt accordingly to make it easier for the author. Right. So if you have to now go and compare the two, you'll see that it's a traditional model, the ones that we've now gone through with you guys in your first theme, is basically that your publisher invests in the author and the book. So your publisher is the one taking on the risk, investing in this author's idea or concept. They pay for all the costs. So they pay for if there's manuscript development, editing costs, proofreading, typesetting, layout, design, the printing of it, even the marketing cost, distributing it, getting the discount from the bookstores, etc., etc. Working with the media to get reviews for this book. So they pay all the costs, anything that has to do with that book and making that book into a specific format and linking that content with your specific target audience, which is basically the function of a publishing house. So the publisher then pays all the cost and they then will receive profit. Now, when you guys come to third year, we will show you how to do proper costing for a book. And then you'll see what goes into the making of a book, as well as what kind of profit margin you are looking at. Usually it's like 35%, but it's worked out on a specific, based on a specific formula. It differs from company to company. But basically, your publisher would then receive the profits because they were the ones obviously investing in the book the most and putting the capital forward to make this book. Your author would then receive royalties. That means that whenever a book is sold, an author gets a certain percentage. A royalty is that certain percentage per book that your author then receives. So say, for example, you printed 1,000 copies of this book and you worked it out as 10% of the selling price. So at the end of the day, say, for example, your book is 120 Rand, your author will receive 12 Rand per book that is sold, or something like that. My math is not great, but anyways, you get what I'm trying to say. So then your author receives royalties from the profit that they make from this book. Your publisher is therefore responsible for all the phases in the publishing value chain, as I just said. Your self-publishing model, on the other hand, is the author is the one that provides the capital to publish the book. So they need to go online, write the book, have it edited or edit it themselves, do the layout. All of those functions and things are their responsibility, and they also then pay for that. So they incur all the costs to make this book or to get a final product that they can upload or print then for their readers. But because of this, because your author is the one investing all the money, your author is also the one that receives all the profits, because then there's no middleman. So they don't have to give a chunk of their profits away to the publishing house. They then or only get a 12% or a 15%. The average rate for royalties is between 12 and 18% per book sold. So they can therefore say, well, I get all the profits, but obviously they first have to make back their money, all their production costs to break even, and then start making money. But the author is then also responsible for all the phases in the publishing value chain. So they will then be responsible for editing it, for doing the design, the layout, the marketing, the distribution. We work with a lot of authors where they want to self-publish, or at the end they do end up self-publishing, but then they don't always realize, we tell them this beforehand, like, it's fine if you want to do that, but do realize that once you get to that point and you've uploaded your book, that's not where your responsibility or your task ends. You basically then have to really work so that people can know that your book is available online, get people to that platform so that they can download your book. Otherwise, there's no sense in uploading your book and doing it all by yourself, and then your book is there on a digital shelf somewhere, and and then no one has access to it. All right. So you have to remember that now you are also responsible for all of the specific functions in the value chain. So what we do get now is we do have the traditional model and we have the self-publishing model, but there's also a hybrid model and hybrid publishing, which basically means that some publishing houses are now starting their own divisions or self-publishing divisions. So there's an imprint that's under the traditional publisher's name, and then there's an imprint for self-publishing, whereas they do certain things for the author, and the author can then choose what kind of services they want to pay for from the publisher's side, and then they also provide most of the costs or the capital to publish this book. And say, for example, they come to the publishing house and say, listen, I've written this manuscript and I want you to edit it for me, but I'll do the design and the layout myself. Then you only pay for the editing that the publishing house is doing by using their own staff or personnel, and you do the rest. And then you can work out a specific costing model with your publishing house, and to at the end of the day, maybe you do profit sharing, or maybe they get 50% and you get 50%, or you get 80% and the publisher gets 20%. But basically all that you guys need to know now, I think there was also a few notes on this in your global publishing notes, the previous theme, where we talked about hybrid publishing, that this is really something that has popped up in the publishing industry. Even locally, if you think about BK Publishing, they have an imprint called Pre-Flight Books, and they focus solely on self-publishing authors. All right, and I know, who's the other one? Is it Jacana that also has a self-publishing leg? So it's very interesting to see that publishers thought, well, If you can't beat them, you need to join them, where they then say, rather come to us and we help you with specific services and help you get a quality book out there than just doing everything on your own. And maybe they go half, so we pay for this services and you pay for that services, and you kind of work out your own costing model at the end of the day, but it should benefit both parties.